Happy Independence Day. I wasn't planning to talk to you today, but the Orlando Magic completed one of the last big things to do this summer. They are signing Moe Wagner. Why both the Magic and Moe Wagner have a lot to prove to each other and what this all means today on Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is July 4th, 2025. Happy Independence Day. Thank you for making Locked On Magic part of your Independence Day. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, we're going to chat about the Orlando Magic keeping Moe Wagner, why this is a statement of belief and a statement of proof for both Moe Wagner and the Magic. Plus, we haven't done this yet. Today seems like the right day. We're going to say goodbye. We're going to give Cole Anthony a proper goodbye and preview what else is left to do this offseason. We're going to get to all that coming up here in just a moment. But first, we want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. No matter when you listen to us, whether it's first thing in the morning, whether it's right when we upload, whether it's during your barbecue, thanks for doing that. You don't really have to. The Locked On Magic is here for you every day, 5 days a week until the end of Summer League, till the end of the month. We're still going strong 5 days a week. Make Locked On Magic part of your day every day. Become one of our everydayers. It's all part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. There has been a lot of hand-wringing about Moe Wagner and his status with the team. I can't tell you how many times someone has contacted me, has reached out to me and said, when are the Magic signing Moe Wagner? Why hasn't this been done yet? The last two off seasons have been pure stress for Moe. If you watch the Wagner Brothers documentary, and yes, grab your German dictionaries for that one. Very good documentary, by the way. Definitely go check it out. You can get Google Translate. You can get your Google Chrome to translate it, and you'll get the gist of what's being said. If you watch that documentary, you know how stressed Moe Wagner was over his contract status over the last 2 years. For us fans, and yes, go back into my archives, we all sat there and said, this is a mechanical cap thing. The Magic are bringing him back. The Magic want him back. It's a fait accompli. It's going to happen. That does not change the level of stress. So for the first time, though, there was some doubt. The Magic are capped out. They're bumping up against the luxury tax, or against the first apron hard cap that they've set on themselves. And they didn't have a lot of money to spend on Moe Wagner. They didn't have a lot of resources to go out and get their player, to keep their player. But at the end of the day, the Magic got it done. According to Shams Charania and confirmed by Shams Charania of ESPN, confirmed by Jason Beatty of the Orlando Sentinel, Moe Wagner will sign a 1-year, $5 million contract, keeping him with the team for at least 1 year as he completes his recovery from a torn ACL and is set to come back probably sometime in December. So we'll get a half season with him. This is the amount that I think a lot of us kind of felt like it was going to end up at. Again, the Magic had only about $7 million of room, a little bit less than $7 million of room before they hit the hard cap. That was including, I believe, Noah Penda's contract, which we'll talk about here in a minute. This was an inevitable, and this was a proper signing for the Magic. Like, this was probably the amount that Moe was going to come in at, and it was just a matter of, is Moe going to get more elsewhere, or whatever the case may be. At the end of the day, though, the Magic bring back the guy that they want, bring back the guy that everyone expected them to bring back a player who has been essential to this team in its rebuild. Today's theme, I like to have themes for my episodes, like try and draw different ideas together. Today's theme is about preserving the heartbeat of this team, preserving the link to the very early days of the rebuild and the guys who committed to this thing, who believed in this program, believed in this process, believed in this future before that future was clear. When the Magic signed Moe Wagner, I'll eat my crow on this. I didn't think Moe Wagner was particularly good. Like, we all knew he was a scorer with very little defensive capabilities, and his shot was a work in progress, to say the least. I was not a believer. I'll firmly say that. He played like 10, 12 games that end of the season. I would even hypothesize that the Magic brought him in to start doing their homework on Franz. But, and this is the magic pun intended, of the way this team has been built. Moe Wagner bought in hook, line, and sinker to this group, to this team. He improved dramatically on defense. Is he a great defender? No, but he does his job. He contributes something. He is not a negative or not a full negative on that end. He's able to hold his own. And on top of that, continue to expand and grow his offense. As Jamal Mosley liked to put it a lot last year, he wakes up scoring 10 points. He averaged about 12 points per game, one of the leading scorers among players who averaged fewer than 20 minutes per game. Moe Wagner became an essential player, and because of the way that he slowly and progressively improved and added value to this team, to me, Moe Wagner is the greatest success story of this Magic rebuild. Yes, you need Paolo, Banchero, and Franz Wagner. You need all those high draft picks to be the team the Magic think they're going to be this year. But it's Moe Wagner. It's players like Moe Wagner that make a rebuild successful, that make a team successful. And no doubt his injury had a major ripple effect on this entire roster. The Orlando Magic, before Moe Wagner's injury in December, were 5th in the league in bench scoring at 40 points per game, around 40 points per game. After Moe Wagner's injury, they dropped to like 21st, 22nd with about 33.3 points per game off the bench. Now, obviously, there are other injuries involved in that. The Magic had a lot of injuries this season that ate at their depth. But Moe Wagner's injury was a major turning point for this season and for this team. Moe Wagner is such an energy player. He's such an instigator on a team that had some instigators, but he was someone that was never afraid to back down. And so the injury threw a huge wrench in everything. In Moe's development, in what the Magic were looking to do, it threw a wrench in everything. And so now, as is always the case, Moe has to prove himself again. That's something he's done his entire career. And certainly with Orlando, he finally proved himself. But let's take this contract for what it is. A one-year deal is a prove-it deal. A one-year deal is the Magic saying, we can't invest fully in you because of your injury, but we know who you are. Prove yourself, and we will bring you back at a more realistic number. That's the truth of things. That's where the Magic stand. And so now it's Moe Wagner proving that he's healthy, proving that he can play again, proving that he can contribute in the way that the Magic know he can. And it's the Magic seeing if Moe Wagner fits this new era of the team. Now, to Moe's credit, he was he had on his podcast released a few days ago, but recorded on draft night. Moe Wagner said very plainly, he loves the situation in Orlando. Playing with his brother is great. You know, he's comfortable in Orlando. He loves the team. He loves everything this team is about. He said he was willing to take less money to a certain extent, to a certain degree, to stay with the Magic. It was that important to him. But now comes the hard part. Now comes the getting back on the court. Now comes the playing. Now comes proving your worth all over again. And then going back into free agency stress next summer. On that same podcast, Wagner did note his doctors have given him the physical all clear. He is able to start doing stuff on the basketball court. It sounded like he was just getting started, back on the basketball court, shooting again and all that stuff. He is currently on vacation with the girlfriend. Have fun where you're at, Mo. Before he begins his training camp in Southern California to get ready for the season. He said at this point, it's all mental. It's just mentally overcoming mental hurdles more than overcoming physical hurdles in his return. And so it does sound like there is a lot of good physical news for Moe Wagner as we prepare for the season now in 2.5 months. Every season is a chance to prove yourself. Let's be real about that. Every season is a chance to prove yourself. And right now, the Magic believe in Moe Wagner as much as Moe Wagner believes in the Magic. But now it's another opportunity to prove himself again. Now it's another opportunity to show where he's at, how he's developed, and what he's capable of doing. And we'll see where that takes this team. This is a good time then to talk about the player the Magic are losing. Another piece of their heartbeat. We need to give an ode to Cole Anthony. Today is the perfect day to do it. We'll do that coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. We've all been there, logging on early and waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot for a show you've been dying to see. Live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. That's where Game Time comes in. Game Time makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, and you can save up to 60% off with their killer last-minute deals. If you're tired of endless scrolling trying to find the best deal, Game Time Zone Deals pick the best seats in your section for you. They give you a digital panoramic view of your seats so you know exactly what the stage, court, field, whatever you're watching is going to look like. And with Game Time, the price you see is the price you pay. No hidden fees. Take the guesswork out of buying concert and show tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA. That's LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. So we've had not quite a month. It's been like it's almost been a month, but about 3 weeks since the Orlando Magic made the trade to acquire Desmond Bane. And let's be very, very clear. We are talking about the Orlando Magic as a potential NBA Finals team, as a potential Eastern Conference Finals team. There is a lot of hype about what the Magic could be this season because of the Desmond Bane trade. And while that cost was immense, 2 rotation players, 4 first-round picks, and a pick swap, this is the cost of taking the leap. Everyone who was scared of Jeff Weltman and the Magic sitting on their hands this offseason, that was thrown out the window. The Magic are going for it. And we talked about this the other day. In an Eastern Conference that feels like it's in retreat, the Magic are one of the few teams that are attacking the problem, that see an opportunity and are trying to get and make themselves significantly better. We'll talk about this later on in the summer. The Magic's championship window is open. The first championship window under Paolo and Franz is wide open. And while we do talk a lot about the cost, those first 4, the Magic essentially traded all of their available first-round picks to make this deal happen. That's a heavy cost. Now, the Magic should be picking in the 20s. Like, who really cares? Fair enough. But there's another cost that I think is worth talking about. And that is Cole Anthony. I do think that on the court, Cole Anthony's time passed him. He did not have a great season last year. Like, no doubt, he would be the first to tell you that he did not have a great season. He averaged only 11.6 points per game in 2024, 9.4 points per game last year. Shooting went up and down. His role went up and down. And in the playoffs, he completely disappeared. As this team continues to improve and continues to get better, having key players who aren't able to perform in the playoffs that are often targeted the way that Cole Anthony was, that can't work. That can't happen anymore. That's done. And with his salary, that became necessary to make a trade like Desmond Bane happen. I'm not going to sit here and tell you the Magic should regret trading Cole Anthony and should regret making that move. It was the absolute right move to make. But there is something that the Magic are losing. And that is one of the best teammates and one of the best connectors of people in that locker room. As I spent some time thinking about Cole Anthony and how to memorialize him is not the right word, but in essence, memorialize his time with the Magic, I kept going back to his rookie season, the COVID year, when stadiums were half empty and there wasn't an ability to connect to fans in the way that you want. And yet, Cole still did that. From the moment he hit that game-winning shot against the Minnesota Timberwolves to every post-game interview where he shouted out teammates before himself, where he gave the shine when he was on the podium after a big game, he would give the shine to Goga Batadze, a good friend of his on the team, to RJ Hampton, to Paolo, to Franz, to anybody. It was Cole pointing at his number 50 when Paolo Banchero scored 50 points earlier this season. There is not a person more about his teammates than Cole Anthony. There is not a person who believed in what the Magic were doing as much as Cole Anthony. Cole Anthony believed in what the Magic were doing even when there was nothing to believe in. Go back and remember after the Magic traded Nikola Vucevic, Evan Fournier, and Aaron Gordon, how Cole Anthony made that big shot against Memphis. Even during that first season when the Magic were really bad, he was all about his teammates. He was all about playing hard and doing what he had to do to help this team advance and get better. When Paolo, Franz, and Jalen Suggs came in, Cole Anthony happily took a role off the bench just by starting for 3 years because he knew that was what was best for the team. And yeah, there were still games that the Magic do not win without Cole Anthony. Whether it's the comeback against the Heat, 35 points in that game, the game winner against Brooklyn, the putback dunk in Game 6 against the Cavs, the 26 points he scored in the play-in tournament game against Atlanta. Cole Anthony could go. He could get it done. But he was just as happy scoring 35 points in Miami as he was celebrating his entire team on that comeback. As he was celebrating Trevelin Queen's big game against Boston the next night, or Tristan da Silva hitting that shot to win the game, to ice that game. This is something that is immeasurable. And so, yes, the stats and just watching would say that Cole Anthony was no longer a basketball fit. But this culture and this family that has defined this team, it does not exist without Cole Anthony. It does not exist without him. And frankly, just like when the Magic let Markelle Fultz go, there must be some concern that things are going to be a little different. Different isn't always bad, but it's going to be different. The Magic are going to have to work to replace that intensity that he brings. They're going to have to work to replace who Cole Anthony is as a person. And that's not always easy. Like I said, the basketball reasons made sense. And so while Cole provides a lot to this team, at the end of the day, the Magic need to win games. The Magic need someone who's soaking up major minutes and, soaking up major salary that's going to compete in the playoffs and contribute in the playoffs. And in 2 postseasons, Cole really struggled. And it's going to be part of what he has to figure out next, as it appears likely the Memphis Grizzlies are going to buy him out of the last year of his contract and send him off into free agency to find somewhere else to go. But I know this. Wherever Cole Anthony ends up, whichever team he plays for, he is going to be the biggest fan of that team. He is going to be cheering so hard for every one of his brothers on that team. He's going to have big games that he helps that team win. And he's going to help reshape and reset their culture the same way he helped reshape and reset the Magic's culture. The biggest move left of the offseason and the minor move, where the Magic go next, we're going to get to that coming up here in just a moment. So, Moe Wagner, done. Checked off the list, done. The Orlando Magic have done, like, not the last big thing, but essentially their roster is set. Friday morning as well, the Orlando Magic, because the Magic can't announce signings yet, that'll happen on Sunday. But Friday afternoon, the Orlando Magic announced that, Friday morning actually, the Orlando Magic announced that they have signed Noah Penda to his rookie contract, his second round contract. The Magic signed Jace Richardson to his contract on Thursday. The Magic are essentially done with their offseason. We've talked a lot about first apron stuff. The Magic are hard capped at the first apron. Assuming Noah Penda's contract is about $2 million and Moe Wagner's contract being $5 million, Orlando's got only about $1 million in room before they hit the hard cap. Now, Noah Penda's contract may come down at 1.5, so maybe closer to 1.5, somewhere around 1.5, $1.7 million before the hard cap. That the Magic are essentially done. Unless there's a trade in the works, and I don't think there is. They don't need to clear Jett Howard out for cap room unless there's a free agent they want. I think, obviously, Moe Wagner is going to be out until probably December. So Goga Bitadze is still really, really important. I don't see the Magic shopping him, although I think he is a very, very high-level trade candidate at the deadline. So we'll see what the Magic do there. We'll see what things look like in February. I think generally the Magic are done. They're going to go into the season with an empty roster spot. They'll have about $1 million to spend. That doesn't include two-way contracts. I think they'll keep that spot open and potentially spend it on the mercenary market in February. Yeah, we get to talk about the mercenary market because the Magic are not a first apron team. They can access the mercenary market. So we'll see what the Magic ultimately do. And again, it's going to be carried over continuously here, but the Magic's roster is essentially done. I think the biggest need that they still have is to find another wing shooter, but I also anticipate with the players that they have, so long as they're healthy, they're going to keep a pretty tight rotation. I don't expect the same 10-man rotation that Jamal Mosley's typically done over the last few years. I think we'll see a pretty tight 9-man rotation. Maybe Jett Howard gets a little bit more opportunity. I know we've talked a little bit about him maybe being moved on, and I don't think he's going to get his team option picked up, to be perfectly honest. So we'll see what direction the Magic go. They obviously have no Penda. I think Tristan da Silva is going to have a really big role. We'll talk more about him later on in the offseason. There is a lot to say, and there is a lot to do as the Magic have essentially finished their roster. 14 players, about $1 million left at cap room. There's just not a lot you can do. So this is the Magic's roster. Starting group of Jalen Suggs, Desmond Bane, Franz Wagner, Paolo Banchero, Wendell Carter. Bench group of Tyus Jones, new free agent, obviously. Anthony Black, Tristan da Silva, Jonathan Isaac, Moe Wagner, with Goga Bitadze filling in for him. Potential for Jace Richardson to get some minutes at guard when needed. Jett Howard hanging around on the perimeter, and then Noah Penda helping out at the forward positions as well. Full roster. I think a lot of people are saying the Magic have a lot of good depth. They have some interesting depth. I think depth is actually going to be one of the biggest issues for the Magic, because if one of their top 4 guys gets hurt or has to miss extended time, there's just not enough scoring. I think that is the big concern. I was big on finding another shooter. Tyus Jones is going to help get guys shots. Like, I think that's a big thing. Like, Jace is going to be able to score a little bit. But the Magic are going to need Anthony Black to step up in a big way. They're going to need Tristan da Silva to step up in a big way. They're going to need Jonathan Isaac to give them something on offense. And whenever injuries hit, they're going to need Noah Penda and Jett Howard to give them something too. There's just a lot of guys the Magic are leaning on that I would say a championship team shouldn't be super comfortable leaning on those guys. Now, it could work out brilliantly. The Magic could know more than we do. They could say, oh, we've been watching Tristan da Silva doing workouts, and his shot looks really good. We're confident that it was just a rookie wall. So be it. They've been watching Anthony Black in the gym all summer. They're like, Anthony Black's taking a leap. We're good. If all that happens, then yeah, the Magic are going to be fine. But I would say that there are still some holes in this roster and some work to do. And obviously just roll the ball out, let them play a little bit, and then figure out what we need. And then we'll see what happens at deadline. We'll see what happens again next offseason. There's still work to do. And again, we got to see how the Magic's players ultimately play. The last big thing left to do this offseason, though, and this is the thing we've all been waiting on, and I'm kind of shocked it hasn't been done yet. But the last big thing that the Magic have left to do this summer is sign Paolo Banchero's extension. We are expecting that Paolo Banchero will get a max extension. That should be a no-brainer. There might be some little things to negotiate, like an option year, perhaps, or some other clauses that fans don't necessarily really care about, but are important to actual contracts. But we're still expecting Paolo to get a max extension, and that'll be the next big piece of news that comes down from the Magic. It is, it does appear that there was a death in Paolo's family, so I understand maybe taking a step back from serious things. There's no pressure on this. The deadline's in October. It'll get done. But this is the last big piece of the Magic's offseason, so we could fully focus on Summer League and then speculating about what this team's actually going to look like. We'll see what that looks like. We're not going to know really until October, and I always want to stress this. We don't really know. Like, on paper, the Magic look amazing, but we don't really know how things are going to work. But the Magic have done their work this summer. At the end of the day, when we look back, and we'll do another recap episode of this when Summer League's over and we're in the doldrums here. But when you look back at what the Magic did this offseason, they swapped out an underperforming Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and, again, a playoff unplayable Cole Anthony for Desmond Bane, one of the absolute best shooting guards, one of the best shooters in this league. They signed Tyus Jones, one of the most stable point guards in the league. Maybe not a starter, and we'll do more on Tyus on Monday. Maybe not a starter, but a guy who's going to fill in gaps for a team that needs a guy to fill in gaps. They went out in the draft and got a high-level but undersized scorer in Jace Richardson, and they got a high-upside wing defender in Noah Penda. All in all, assuming that young players get better, which, yes, maybe you should assume that, maybe you shouldn't. All in all, the Magic have had an awesome summer because we are no longer talking about the Magic trying to get out of the first round. We're frankly skipping a step and saying the Magic should expect to go to the conference finals. So the Magic should be competitive to go to the conference finals. Now, the Magic do need to get out of the first round. I was talking with some friends and talking with some fans today. If the Magic don't win 50 games this year, that's disappointing. There are high expectations on this team, and that is because the Magic put the investment in. They put their money where their mouth is to say, we believe we could be a championship team. They have begun building a championship team. And we're going to talk more about the implications of that throughout the offseason. But overall, this has been a successful summer on paper, but we kind of said the same thing about the last year too. So there's still a lot of work to do. Nothing's guaranteed, nothing's set in stone, and the Magic have their work cut out for them. But that's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to this special edition of Locked On Magic. Truly appreciate you taking some time on your Independence Day or whenever you listen to us during this holiday weekend. I hope everyone had an amazing Independence Day, a great holiday weekend as well. You can, of course, follow me on Twitter at PhilipRR_OMD and on Blue Sky at PhilipRR. You can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all the ways you download podcasts to your podcast-enabled listening device. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can find us on Twitter at OMagicDaily. And for even more Orlando Magic content, including, I promise, my early Eastern Conference power rankings, you can find that on my Patreon page at patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub. As always, thank you for your support. Now that you're done listening to me on Locked On Magic, go check out our friends over at Locked On NBA. Doug, Matt, and Hayes keep you up to date on contract negotiations, rumors, and everything you need to be the most informed NBA fan. Find Locked On NBA on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts, part of Locked On Podcast Network. Our team every day. That's going to do it for me today, though. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. I will be back Monday, probably Sunday afternoon, hopefully before the soccer game. But I will be back for Monday's episode of Locked On Magic. I've chatted with Locked On Suns about Tyus Jones. We'll get the full lowdown on Tyus Jones on our next episode of Locked On Magic, unless the Paolo extension hits, in which case we'll talk Paolo extension and hit Tyus Jones. Another day, that interview is in the can. We have it ready to go. Just picking a day to run it. We'll talk Summer League next week as well. But until then, for Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Phil Prosper. We'll see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.